We're back with the Lone Wolf series again. Uh, First book once again. So about 2 years ago, I checked. I did this book, then did a second attempt in early of 2025. We are now in 2026, and we're gonna try to do it again. In the sense of I like going back to them from time to time. I have the first 5 books in the series. So we have our Mountain Dew. We have the first book. Let's take it for, I don't know, maybe an hour or so and just get into it. Before we build our character and start all that stuff, we have to go into the story so far. I'm trying to think of how I want to play this playthrough. Since my goal is to do the first 5 books that I haven't gotten through. I think I've gotten through on my own the first 2-3 books. But here we are, first one, Flight from the Dark. The story so far, and please be prepared for me not being able to pronounce a damn thing. The story so far. In the northern land of Summerland, it has for centuries been customary for parents to send their most gifted children to the monastery of the Kai on the occasion of their 7th birthday. There, they are taught the skills and martial disciplines of their noble ancestors. The Kai are masters of their art, and the children in their charge love and respect them in spite of the hardships of their training. For one day, when finally they have mastered the disciplines of the Kai, they will be able to return to their homes equipped in mind and body to defend themselves and their kin against constant threat of war from the Dark Lords of the West. In olden times, during the age of the Black Moon, the Dark Lords waged wars on Summerland. The conflict was long and bitter trial of strength that ended in victory for the Summerlending, and at the great battle of Makagengor. Yeah, there's the first one. King Ulnar I himself, gifted with Kai powers, aided by the allies of Draenor, broke the Darkland armies at the pass of Morturna and forced them back into the bottomless abyss of Makagengorge. Vashna, mightiest of the Dark Lords, was slain upon the sword of King Ulnar called the Summer Sword, the Sword of the Sun. Since that age, the Dark Lords have vowed vengeance upon Summerland and the House of Ulnar. Now it is the morning of the feast day of Feimarn, the first day of spring. It is an old tradition of the Kai to gather at their monastery in the foothills of the Duncrag Mountains on Femin, in order to refrain their fealty to the god Kai and the Summerlending House of Ulnar. Kai journeymen and envoys have traveled far to return in time for the celebrations, marking the beginning of a new year in Summerland. You are a young Kai cadet called Silent Wolf. This is the name you were given by your Kai masters when you first entered the monastery. You are an initiate in the Noble Order, and this will be the 8th year you have taken part of the Feimarn ceremony. Your feelings of pride and excitement are the same now as they were when you first arrived here from your home in the village of Daj. A little over half of your short lifetime ago. The past few days have been an exciting time for you and your fellow cadets. The journeymen have been recounting their tales of battles won and quests fulfilled in distant lands. On this fateful morning, you have been sent to collect firewood in the forest as a punishment for your inattention in class. As you are preparing to return, you see, to your horror, a vast black cloud of black leathery creatures swoop out of the western skies and engulf the monastery. The Dark Lords, the ancient enemy of Summerlending, are attacking. War has begun. Dropping the wood, you race to the battle that has already begun, but in the unnatural dark, you stumble and strike your head on a low tree branch. As you lose consciousness, the last thing that you see in the distant shadows is the walls of the monastery and its warning tower, the crystal beacon, crashing to the ground. Many hours pass before you awake. With tears in your eyes, you now survey the scene of destruction. Raising your face to the sky, you swear vengeance on the Dark Lords for the massacre of the Kai warriors. With a sudden flash of realization, you know what you must do. You must set off on a perilous journey to the capital city to warn the king of the terrible threat now faces his people. For you are now the last of the Kai. You are now Lone Wolf. Okay, let's get into the game rules here. So we keep a record of our adventure on the action chart, which we do have here. You know what? I need to do something real quick. There we go. Got the mouse a little bit bigger. So we record our adventure on our action chart here. So during your training as a Kai Initiate, you have developed your fighting prowess, combat skill, right here, and your physical stamina, endurance. Before you begin, you will need this to measure. You will need to measure how effective your training has been. To do this, take a pencil. What we're gonna do is we're gonna roll our dice. The first number that you pick from the random table, or in this case, the dice roll, right here, represents your combat skill, and add 10 to the number you choose and write the total in the combat skills section of your action chart. So we are going to roll the dice here. The official time, 1. So we add 10 to 1. So we have a combat skill of 11. Not the best. So i.e. if you get 4, you should write down the combat skill of 14. When you fight, your combat skill will be pitted against your enemy, and a high score in this section therefore desirable. The second number you pick from the random number table represents your endurance. Add a 20 to this number. So let's roll our dice again. 6. So we have 26. So we are currently, I think we're at full health, right? So we are 26 of 26. There we go. Try not to hit this on the table that much is what I need to do. And look at that. That is actually the example, i.e. if the random number is 6, you should write down the endurance points of 26. If you are wounded in combat, you will lose endurance points. If at any time your endurance points fall to 0 or below, you are dead and the adventure is over. Lost endurance points can be regained during the course of the adventure, but your number of endurance points can never go above the number of which you start your adventure. Which is always funny, because if I get plus, like, let's say plus 2 to endurance, wouldn't that become a 28? And I'd be 26 of 28, I think. You may find it more convenient to use a 10-sided die instead of the random number table, which is what I have done. Okay, Kai disciplines. So right here. So over the centuries, hold on, I was an initiate, right? As a Kai Initiate, yes. So I always like to, let's do red here, and oh no, we are an Initiate, not, oh no, undo. Initiate, right? Yes. Bam. There we go. That is what we are. We are a Kai Initiate. Let's go ahead and just move this out of the way real quick. Sorry, I am checking to make sure everything in my purview is correct. So, over the centuries, the Kai have mastered many useful skills which are passed on from generation to generation. These skills are known as the Kai disciplines, and they are taught to all Kai lords. As a Kai Initiate, you have learned only 5 of the skills listed below. You must choose your 5 Kai disciplines before you set off on your adventure. As of all Kai disciplines, you will be as all of the Kai disciplines will be useful to you at some point during your mission. Pick your 5 with care. The correct use of discipline at the right time can save your life. When you have chosen your 5 disciplines, enter them in the Kai disciplines section of your action chart. So we have to choose from camouflage, hunting, sixth sense, tracking, healing, weapon skill, mind shield, mind blast, animal kinship, and mind over matter. So something that always intrigues me, but I want to try to stay away from certain things because I feel like I use them quite often, and in the subsequent or the next books, I believe we get to add stuff to it. So I think just to make sure we have enough just to make sure we have, you know, like, I don't know, how do I want to say this? Just to make sure we have enough time to actually play, I think with endurance, being able to heal is huge. So let's see. So this discipline, healing, which I am choosing, and I need to remember we're only taking 5. The discipline, healing. This discipline can be used to restore endurance points lost in combat. If you possess the skill, you may restore 1 endurance points to your total for every numbered section of the book you pass through in which you are not involved in combat. This can only be used after your endurance has fallen below its original level. Be sure to remember that your endurance score cannot rise above its original level. Now, I think for the next one, there's a couple I want to look at. One being mind over matter. So this discipline enables the Kai to move small objects by focusing their concentration. If you choose this skill, write mind over matter. Now with that though, I'm not 100% sure if it's something that we'll say, like when we have like hunting or, you know, other stuff. Mind Blast though, so now Mind Blast, this skill enables the Kai Lord to attack an enemy using the force of their mind. It can be used at the same time as normal combat weapon and adds 2 extra points to your combat skill. Not all creatures encountered on this adventure will be susceptible to Mind Blast. You will be told if a creature is immune. If you choose this skill, write Mind Blast plus 2 combat skill points to your action chart. So now I think something like this might help because our combat skill is just 11 right now. And if we look over here, like if we start using our combat results table, you know, we're going to have to subtract our combat skill from their combat skill. And if we get, you know, like a -8, you know, we'll have to roll upwards of, you know, even a 9, we lose 2, but they'll lose 7. Whereas if we get a higher combat skill, we can start rolling lower numbers to actually not lose health, which will be huge. So I am going to do, was it one word? It was one word. I'm going to do Mind Blast, which will be plus 2 to combat skill. So what I'm going to do here is just simply, do you not want to do that? Right, 13. A little bit of space in between. Just so I know that I'm at 11 base, plus 2 is 13. But if I come across someone who is immune to Mind Blast, then I'm actually at an 11. I just have to kind of remember that. For the third one here, now Mind Shield. Let's look at that one. Some of your enemies will have the ability to attack you using a psychic force. The Kai discipline of Mind Shield can protect you from losing any endurance points when subjected to this form of attack. So no points lost when attacked by Mind Blast. Weapon skill can up our combat rating as well if we are equipped with the right weapon. But I don't know if I'm going to use that at the moment. Camouflage. This discipline enables a Kai Lord to blend in with their surroundings in the countryside and are able to hide amongst the trees. I believe we are going to want that. I think we're going to do camouflage. So make sure I read it. Or wow, I did not type it out. correctly. Even though I was trying to do it, and it's not an I, it's an O. Camouflage. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So yeah, so camouflage. I don't know why this keeps getting all hard to read until I actually click on it, but there we go. That kind of helps a little bit. Okay, we have 2 left to go through. We have hunting, which allows us to hunt for food, except for in areas of wasteland and desert. Also allows, so we don't have to, we'll never starve if we take hunting. I've taken it in the past and it's been pretty good. Animal kinship, I feel, is also, so let's do that. So this skill enables the Kai to communicate with some animals and predict the behavior of others. In some cases, it can grant a Kai control over an animal's instincts or actions. So yeah, let's do animal kinship here for the next one. And for the 5th one, okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to use the dice to determine, let's say 1 to 3 is hunting, 4, 5, 6 is 6 sense, 7, 8, 9 is tracking. If it happens to be a 10, I get to pick myself. 8. So tracking, right? 1, 2, 3 for that one. 4, 5, 6 for that one. Yeah. So tracking is going to be our last tracking skill. So this skill enables us, to help hopefully make a correct choice and all of that. So now we have equipment. Oh, and by the way, if I do successfully complete this book, I will get to add an extra discipline, which is awesome. So your possessions comprise the axe of which you have been sent with to fetch firewood. So I have a axe. Note this weapon in your action chart. A green tunic and cloak of the Kai initiative. You also have a backpack with 1 meal in it, a belt, and a leather pouch which you keep your money in. So to find out how much money you have, pick a number, have a random number. Just a random number. 4. I have 4 gold. 4 gold in my belt pouch. Maximum of 50. So the number you choose equals the number of gold. Yeah. Upon entering the Kai Monastery, every initiate is given a map of the last lands. This map shows the location of your native country, Summerland, and its capital. It also shows the land of Durnor in the far east. So we do have a map. How to carry and use your equipment. Any item that you may be of use can be picked up on your adventure and entered into your action chart. Is given a capital letter in text unless you are told it is a special item or weapon. Carry it in your backpack. So backpack items. During your travels, I'll discover useful stuff. There may be special items. We have gold crown. We have food. You will need to eat regularly during your adventure. If you do not have food when you are instructed to eat a meal, you will lose 3 endurance points. If you have chosen the Kai discipline of hunting as one of your 5 skills, you will not need to tick off a meal when instructed to eat. I do not have that. So we'll find potions and rules of combat, right? So example, if we have a combat skill of 15 and we're ambushed by a 20, you are not given the opportunity to evade combat and must stand and fight. You have the Kai discipline of Mind Blast, which we do. So you add 2. Giving you 17, so you subtract the enemy's combat skill from your own, giving a ratio of -3. So it would be 17 minus 20. So -3 is noted on the action chart for the combat ratio, and if we are in the combat ratio of -3, -4, then this is what will happen. If we roll a 6, the enemy would lose 6, we would lose 3. We may be given a chance to evade combat. That'll be great. Levels of Kai training. Yes, we are initiate. And beyond the 10 basic skills of the Kai Master await the secrets of higher level Kai disciplines. Kai Wisdom. The Kai have many ruthless enemies, including the Dark Lords of Helgrad. Helgedad. It doesn't matter. So anyways, we're going for Summerland and the Kai. Of course, we have, within the book, very cool, a map. Awesome. And now we get to actually start Flight from the Dark. And what I always like to do is we are a initiate. We are in current section 1 of book 1. Now all we have is an axe. We don't have any weapon skills. We don't have any quivers, no arrows, no special items as of yet. Nothing else but one meal, 1 belt pouch with 4 gold in it. We have a combat base skill of 11 and 13 with our Mind Blast, unless they're immune to Mind Blast. So now we get to get going. You must make haste, for you sense it is not safe to linger by the smoking remains of the ruined monastery. The black-winged beast could return at any moment. You must set out for the Summerlandian capital of Holmgrad and tell the king the terrible news of the massacre. That the whole of the Kai, save yourself, have been slaughtered. Without the Kai lords to lead the regiments of the Summerlandian armies, Summerland will be at the mercy of their ancient enemy, the Dark Lords. Fighting back tears, you bid farewell to your dead kin. Your fellow Kai initiates Rain, Dove, Steel Sky, and Snow Falcon. Your own tutor, Master Starfire. The leader of your order, Grand Master Brave Blade. And so many others. Silently, you promise that their deaths will be avenged. You turn away from the ruins and carefully descend the steep track. At the foot of the hill, the path splits into 2 directions, both leading into a large wood. If you possess the Kai discipline of Sixth Sense and wish to use it, we don't. If you do not possess this Kai discipline, or if you choose not to use it, you may follow the right path into the wood. If you wish to take the left track instead, turn to 275. So, I can either go to 85 or 275. Let's go left. 275. You have followed the twisting track for about 20 minutes when you hear a beating of wings high above the trees. Looking up, you see a large Kron approaching from the north, its huge black wings casting a gigantic shadow over the trees. On its back are 2 creatures armed with long spears and wearing dull red uniforms. They are the Mountain Geiks, small, ugly creatures full of hatred and malice. You recall what you were taught about these beings by Master Stormhawk, your old Kai tutor, who was sadly killed during the mission in the Duncrags. Many centuries ago, their ancestors were used by the Dark Lords to build the eternal city of Helgrad, which lies in the volcanic wastelands far beyond the Duncrag mountain range. The construction of the city was long and torturous, and only the strongest of the creatures survived the furnace-like heat and poisonous atmosphere. Quickly, you dive for the shelter of a large fern tree as the Kron passes above your head. With heart pounding, you pray that your quick reactions have saved you from being spotted. So, pick a number. Every time it says pick a random number, that's when we're rolling the dice. If you have the Kai discipline of camouflage, add 2, which we do have. So, 5 plus 2 is 7. So if the result is 5 or higher, turn to 345. You pull up the hood of your green Kai cloak and keep perfectly still as the Kron circles overhead. After a few minutes, you hear the frustrated curses of the Geiks. They cannot locate you. As the Kron and its Geik riders fly away towards the west, you slip back the hood of your cloak and breathe a sigh of relief. Your swift reactions have saved you from capture and likely death. That grim possibility is driven home by the discovery of fresh blood and a ruined backpack amid tall grass beside you. A quick search of the pack reveals only one item of use, a small glass bottle. You recognize it as a healing potion. If you choose to take it, this backpack item can restore 4 endurance points when swallowed after combat. You only have enough for 1 dose. Okay, so we are going to, in our backpack, write healing potion plus 4 endurance. If we decide to use it. And actually let us say hi to the doggy that's walking behind us. Hi, Pepper. Let's do 1 so that I know that it only has the 1. You can now return to the track by turning to 272. Keeping a watchful eye on the skies above, you move quickly along the trail. You are familiar with this route and have traveled it many times. It leads to a village called Fogwood, a small cluster of cottages and a watermill. It's a hard-working woods folk earn a living. From the timber they harvest, from the trees, from the ore they mine in the modest quantity, from the foothills, and from sheep which they gaze on patches cleared timberland. The village was given its name by the charcoal burners who first came here and made a simple forest like for themselves centuries ago. After 20 minutes, you reach the edge of a clearing where the log cabins and cottages are grouped in a small circle. The huts are usually quiet. If we have the Kai discipline of tracking, we may turn to 134. If you do not possess the skill, you prepare your weapon and stealthily approach the huts. We do have it, so we will go to 134. Using your skills, you detect Gaiac tracks around the perimeter of the clearing. The footprints are fresh, and you can tell that these cruel minions of the Dark Lords were in this area less than 2 hours ago. Forewarned by this knowledge, if you decide to investigate the huts, turn to 305. If you would rather avoid the clearing, turn to 40. Even though we have this knowledge, let's still investigate the huts. It was 2 hours ago. They might not be around still. Right? 305. Through the open doorway of the first log cabin, you can see the body of a villager lying face down on the rough stone floor. He has been murdered, stabbed in the back by a spear. All his furniture and belongings have been smashed and broken, and not one piece remains intact. This is the evil handiwork of the Gaiacs, without any doubt, for they delight in the destruction of all things. A quick check of the other huts and cottages reveal a similar story of murder and wreckage. In the last hut you search, you discover a Gaiac spear, proof of your suspicions. You may keep this weapon if you wish. More determined than ever now to succeed in your mission, you continue along the track. Turn to 105. I will, since I only have an axe, and I know I don't have any weapon efficiency, but we will upside down, keep the spear for now, and maybe it'll be useful. So we continue on 105. In the distance, perched on a branch of an old oak tree, is a jet black raven. If you have the Kai discipline of animal kingship, you may call this bird by turning to 298. If you do not, turn to 335. I always like to use the discipline if I have the discipline. So I have animal kinship, so let us turn to 298. The head of the bird slowly turns as it curses you. An instant later, it flies above the trees and has soon disappeared. Shocked by what you have heard, you are now sure that the fledgling was a scout of the Dark Lords and is now probably on its way to inform them of your whereabouts. If you wish to continue your journey along the track, turn to 121. If you wish to leave the track and continue through the forest instead, turn to 38. Let's stay on the track. We'll go to 121. You leave the clearing and press on, but only after a few minutes spent walking along the trail, you see a stranger clad in red, standing in the corner of the track ahead. He has his back towards you, and his head is covered by a hood of his scarlet robes. Perched on his outstretched arm is the black raven you saw earlier. There's a really cool artwork here for that. If you wish to call the stranger, turn to 309. If you wish to approach the stranger cautiously, turn to 342. If you would rather draw your weapon and attack, turn to 283. Let's approach cautiously, 342. You have taken less than 10 paces towards forward when the raven squawks a warning to the stranger. Turning to face you, the robed creature utters a piercing screech that freezes your blood and knots your stomach with fear. This is no human. This is a Vordak, a lieutenant of the Dark Lords, one of the walking undead. Its piercing scream fills your ears, and this fell creature withdraws a black mace from inside its robe and raises it above its head. Frozen stiff with horror, you can feel the Vordak is also attacking you with its powerful psychic energies. You must fight this creature. Okay, so we have, let's see, combat skill 18, endurance 26. So we are in section, let's fill this out, 342. It has a endurance of 26. It is a Vordak. I have endurance of 26. It also has an endurance of 26. So deduct 2 points from your combat skill unless you have the Kai discipline of Mind Shield. It is immune to Mind Blast. So it is immune to Mind Blast, so now we're rocking the 11. We do not have Mind Shield, so we are rolling with a 9. It has a combat skill of 18. So 9 minus 18 is minus 9 is the combat ratio. So let me move that over here while we do the fighting. So we are going to be looking at this here column for the battle. We are going to roll the dice and see what happens. If we win, we turn to 123, and that's all we have. So I must fight this creature. I don't think I can flee. So, all right, here we go. First roll of the combat. We got lucky. We had a 10. So we'll lose no endurance points, but they will lose 6. So they are down to 20. It is time for the next roll. Hold on, there we go. All right, the next roll, we roll a 2. We lose 8, they lose 0. So we are down to 18. All right, third roll, 2. We are down to 10. Here we go, next roll, 9. They lose 6, we lose 3. So they are down to 14. We are down to 7. 10. Perfect. That is great. That is what we kind of need. So we don't lose any. They lose 6. So they are down to 8. Oh, man. 2 10s in a row, I think. Oh, wow. That is extremely lucky. So they lose 6. 9. Wow. Okay. They lose 6, we lose 3. We are down to 4. They have been killed. We are at 4 endurance points in total. All right. So we won, so we can turn to 123. And I am going to go ahead and use my health potion for +4. Get us up to 8. If we complete this, then we'll get to use our medical or healing and start slowly going up. I just have to remember at the end of the sections, if I don't do combat, I get to do that. Okay, so 123. As the creature collapses at your feet, its body slowly dissolves into a vile green liquid. The grass and the plants around it, this spreading pool of smoking, bubbling fluid, are beginning to shrivel up and die. In the midst of this foul pool, you see a large scarlet gem zone. It looks very valuable. Further along the trail, you can see a large war party of Gaiacs, over a dozen strong, altered by the summoning by the Vordak's final cries. They are now running towards you, intent on exacting their revenge for your destruction of their fell master. If you wish to snatch up the Vordak gem, turn to 304. If you would rather leave it and escape into the surrounding trees, turn to 2. Let us try to swoop it up. 304. What could possibly go wrong? Right? 304. The scarlet gem feels incredibly hot and it blisters your fingers the moment you grasp it. Lose 2 endurance points. Hurriedly, you wrap your injured hand with part of the creature's robe and retrieve this gleaming stone from the decaying remains of its body. Record this as Vordak Gem, which you keep in your backpack. You feel sure that the gem of this weight and size must be worth hundreds of gold crowns, but your thoughts are soon brought back to the dangerous reality of your present situation. The vengeful Gaiacs are getting closer with every passing second. Fearful that you will be overwhelmed by their superior numbers if you stay here a moment longer, you turn to sprint to the cover of safety of the surrounding forest. Turn to 2. Okay. No combat, so I am going to give myself an endurance point. As you dash through the thickening trees, the shouts of the pursuing Gaiacs gradually begin to fade behind you. Only when you are completely sure that you have outdistanced them and they have given up the chase do you dare stop and take a rest. You are now in part of the Freyland forest that you have never explored before. Through the canopy of branches above, you catch glimpses of the morning sun. Its positioning in the sky helps you get to your bearings in this thick woodland. You determine that you should be heading towards the southeast in the direction of Holmgard, but to do so now will take you back through the forest towards the Gaiacs. You resolve instead to turn towards the southwest. Your hope is to go eastward again once you have passed around the area where you've encountered the Vordak and its Gaiac patrol. Soon you chance upon an old forest trail. It does not appear to have been used for many years. You follow this trail westward for about a mile until it brings you to an old stone signpost. One arm of the post points directly ahead, and the other one points away to the right. The inscriptions engraved into the arms are badly eroded and written in an ancient text that you do not recognize. Your keen hearing detects a faint noise in the distance directly ahead. It is the unmistakable sound of the Gaiacs communicating in their harsh, guttural language. Wary of running into another war party, you leave the main trail and set off along the smaller track. You have nearly outdistanced them completely when you crash headlong into a tangle of low branches. Pick a number. Roll the dice. 7. If the number you picked is 5 to 9, turn to 276. Oh, and we have done another one. Gotta remember. Reaching for your weapon, you manage to hack your way through the tangle of wood and twisted branches to the clearer forest beyond. Your cloak is torn in several places, and your right leg is badly bruised above the knee. Lose 1 endurance point, and turn to 213. Lost 1. Gained 1 for not dealing with combat. 213. You have been trekking through the forest for nearly 2 hours. What began as a nagging doubt that you have lost has become a realization. Apart from the occasional cry of the Kron in the far distance, you have neither seen nor sensed that the enemy occupies any of the surrounding woodland. As you slowly descend on a rocky hillock, you notice something unusual tangled in the woods ahead. Turn to 331. Surrounded by thorny briars and closely knitted tree roots, you see the entrance to a tunnel disappearing into the hillside beyond. It is approximately 7 feet in height and just over 10 feet wide. As you get closer, you can feel the slight breeze coming from the inky blackness. If the other end of this tunnel emerges on the far side of the hill, it could save you many hours of difficult climbing. But you are also wary of the fact that it could be harboring unknown dangers. If you wish to enter the tunnel, turn to 170. If you wish to instead climb the hillside, turn to 280. Alright, another choice to be made. Let's take the risk and enter the tunnel. 170. The tunnel is dark and the air is much cooler out than outside. You carefully advance with one hand on the tunnel wall to aid your sense of direction. You have been in total darkness for 3 minutes when you detect the foul smell of decay ahead, similar to the rotting meat. If you have a torch and tinderbox in your backpack, you may light the torch to see your way ahead. I don't. Suddenly, something heavy drops from the tunnel ceiling onto your back and you fall to your knees. It is a burrow crawler, and you must fight it, for it is trying to strangle you with its long, slimy tentacles. Ooh, there's the burrow crawler. Okay, let's fill this out. So we are fighting a... The burrow crawler has an endurance of 7, luckily. We are in section 170. We have 11 endurance points. Okay. If you have a torch, its flickering flame will aid you during this combat, for the eyes of the burrow crawler are sensitive to light, so add 2 points to your combat skill. I don't have that. For the duration of this fight. The burrow crawler is immune to Mind Blast and Animal Kinship. So we are back down to our 11 combat skill. So he has a combat skill of 17, so 11 minus 17, so that is a -6. So we are rocking this here, Torment, and we have 11 endurance points. So let's kick it off. 6. We say we are -6, so 6. We lose 5, they lose 4. So they are down to 3. We are down to, not 16, 6, unfortunately. All right, here we go. The next one, 5. We both lose 4. So I am down to 2. They are dead. We have, I wish I had 21 endurance points. We have 2 endurance points. If you win, turn to 319. The carnivorous creature lets out a ghastly death cry and falls still. In a panicked state, you scramble to your feet and grab what you believe to be your belt from the slimy jaws of the dead beast. You can see a faint light in the distance and run towards it as fast as you are able. When finally you emerge into daylight, you fall onto the leafy ground and fight for breath and painful gasps. Slowly sitting upright, you notice that you are still wearing your belt. It had not been lost during the combat after all. What you grabbed from the jaw of the burrow crawler was a leather strap with a small pouch and seethed dagger fixed halfway along it. You break open the clasp and find it contains 20 gold crowns. You may take both the dagger and the crowns if you wish. Alright, so we now have 24. I am going to drop the axe and pick up the dagger. in case we decide to either do a weapon combat of dagger or that. Feeling a little calmer now, you gather together your equipment and push eastward towards the forest. I'll get myself a little bit of a heal and turn to 157. The forest begins to thin out. Finally, you can make out a road through the trees ahead. The highway is full of people heading south. Many are wheeling their possessions along the handcarts. If you wish to join the refugees and perhaps learn more of what has happened in the north, turn to 30. If you would prefer to continue to move south but under the cover of trees, turn to 167. Give us another endurance points. Let's turn to 30. Let's go talk to the people. We've been alone for a little bit here, and we need to get our bearings. The people are hungry and exhausted. They have traveled many miles during the night, desperate to get away from their burning city. Suddenly you hear the beat of a huge wings coming from the north. Kron, Kron, hide yourselves. The cry goes up all along the road. Just in front of you, a wagon carrying small children breaks down. Its right wheel jammed in a deep furrow. The children scream, terrified of the approaching Kron. If you wish to help the children, turn to 194. If you rather run for the cover of the trees, turn to 261. I'm going to help the children. Turn to 194. Where are you? "194. You sprint towards the wagon. People are running everywhere in a panic as the Kron begin their attack. They swoop low and snatch their poor victims off into the sky. A large Kron comes gliding to the hover above the wagon, and the 3 snarling Geiks drop from its back onto the startled horses. The children scream with terror. You must fight these enemies quickly or abandon your rescue and seek cover from the attacks in the shelter of a nearby farmhouse. If you wish to fight the Geiks, turn to 208. If you decide instead to abandon the children and run into the farmhouse, turn to 148. We're gonna fight. 208. The ghoulish creatures thrust their spears at you and attack. Fight these creatures as one single enemy. Okay, so Section 208. I have 6 endurance points. I am fighting the Geiks. They have an endurance of 13. Now, I actually finally get to use my Mind Blast. So I have a 13 combat skill. They have a 15 combat skill. So that is a -2 to the combat ratio. So we are now here in this section. Right here. And let us hope that we can go at it. First roll is a 6. What did I say? -2. So we lose 2, but they lose 7. So we are down to 4. They are down to 6. Yes, they are down to 6. Yeah. 9. Huge. We lose nothing. They lose 10. So they are dead. Bam. But we are down to 4. Almost dead. If you win, you can run to the safety of the farmhouse by turning to 148. Kicking open the door, you dive into the farmhouse. A Kron soars overhead, shrieking victoriously, a victim hanging helplessly in its claws. As you pull yourself to your feet, you find yourself alone in this abandoned farmhouse. The kitchen has been emptied of food, but propped up against the fireplace, you discover a warhammer. You may take this weapon if you wish. Ooh, let's drop the enemy spear and pick up a warhammer, right? If you want to stay in the farmhouse, turn to 81. If you would feel safer in the forest, you can make a dash for it by turning to 320. If you wish to search the room further, turn to 199. Let us search the room a little bit more. 199. Most of the cupboards and drawers are empty. You can sense that whoever once lived here left in a hurry. They must have taken nearly everything they owned with them. Only when you search the cellar do you find enough fruit to make one meal. You may record it in your action chart. Turn to 81. So we now have enough for a second meal. Gain that. And we turn to 81. After they have completed their attack, the Kron and their cruel riders take to the skies and vanish towards the west. As the shocked refugees start to emerge from the woods, you can hear the sound of horses galloping in the distance. They are coming closer. You stay hidden and wait as the riders come into view. They are the cavalry of the King's Royal Guard, resplendent in their burgundy uniforms. If you wish to call them, turn to 183. If you would rather continue along the forest edge towards the south, turn to 200. This is the accompanying illustration. Let's call out to them. This has been a harrowing adventure so far. 183. 183. The officer orders his men to halt, and then he demands to know your business. You tell them that you are a... You tell him... where is it? You tell him that you are a Kai initiate. You also tell him that the Kai monastery has been attacked and destroyed. He and his men are deeply saddened to hear your news. He offers you a spare horse and asks if you wish to accompany him and his men. They're on their way back to regroup with the rest of their regiment. He informs you that their commanding officer is Crown Prince Palanthar, King Ulnar's son. If you accept this offer, turn to 97. If you decide to decline his offer, you can continue your way by turning to 200. I mean, our main goal is to get to the king, and it has been a harrowing adventure so far. Is there more that can be offered that we can find? Do we have to go directly there? Man, we are almost so dead. Let's turn to 97. Let's accept his offer. $97. After a short while, you catch a few tantalizing glimpses of the river Unam through the trees ahead. This major watercourse is one of 3 great rivers of Summerland. A great bridge was constructed many centuries ago to span the river. As you push through the trees, the twin stone towers that guard the approach ramp and the gateway to this bridge monumental span come into view. In the shadow of the towers, there is an area of level ground. A wide plaza paved with ancient slabs of granite worn smooth by the passage of years. This paved area, known as the Almarmar, is often served as a meeting and trading place for merchants, but now is used for a much more sinister purpose. It is teeming with Geiks and Drakirim assault troops. They are mustering in reinforcements for a fierce battle that is now being waged in the center of the bridge. You judge that it would be suicidal to try to cross, for it's choked with enemies. You backtrack into the forest and make a wide detour. You soon arrive at a turnpike running parallel to the river. Patiently, you await your chance to race across the road and dive for cover among the bushes opposite. If you had a horse, you leave it in the forest. Once you are sure that you have not been seen, you make your way down the water's edge. Here you rest for a short while among the tall grasses which fringe the riverbank. marveling at the magnificence of the river. This ancient river viaduct is over 1 mile long and comprises of a series of elegant stone compression arches, interrupted at regular intervals by grand towers and huge granite piers. At its center stands the Durnstone. For many centuries, this wide central pier has been used as a marketplace. A fierce battle is now raging on the Durnstone. The clash of steel and the cries of men and beast echo through the forest amid smoke and flame. You can see the winged horse standards of Crown Prince Palithar, somehow altered in time to the invasion. The prince has hurriedly gathered his elite troops and ridden here from the king's citadel in Holmgard. You determine that your best hope for survival now lies with the prince and the court guard. If they fall here, your mission has already failed. Under cover of the tall grasses, you make your way upstream to the nearest of the bridge's 2 gatehouse towers. At the base of each tower, there is an iron ladder which ascends to a loading hatch, located just beneath the wide central span of the bridge road. You resolve to climb and enter the nearest tower by way of its loading hatch. From there, a flight of wooden steps ascend to the top of the bridge's gatehouse arch. Upon reaching the top of the stairs, you cross over the gatehouse and turn along one of the raised walkways running parallel on either side of the bridge. Using your speed and stealth, you avoid detection by the enemy troops on the bridge road below. You are able to hurry along the walkway towards the guarded entrance to the Durnstone. You stop to observe the battle that is raging in the paved plaza below. In the center of this magnificent square, Prince Palithar's court guards are locked in mortal combat with Dark Lord's assault troops. The enemies have superior numbers and are trying to force their way through Palithar's line, but the prince's men are fighting like lions and holding them back. Through the smoke of turmoil of this vicious battle, you see the prince locked in combat with a large gray Gorgaz. The scaly creature towers above the other troops and wields its huge black battle axe. With terrible effect, the prince is sheathed in a silver plate armor that gleams like a mirror in the sun. His white tabard is emblazoned with the winged horse, his personal emblem. Palithar seems to be winning his deadly duel with the monstrous Gorgaz. Suddenly, the prince falls wounded, a black arrow in his side. Awesome artwork accompanying that long passage. If you wish to defend the wounded prince, turn to 255. If you wish to run away, turn to 306. We have not shied from a battle yet. We will turn to 255. Your heart skips a beat when you see Palithar scream and falter. Sensing victory is imminent, the Gorgaz raises his great axe and strikes a mighty blow at the prince's visored helm. One of Palithar's court guards pushes him aside as the black axe whistles down. His swift action saves the wounded lord from being decapitated, but in so doing he sacrifices his right hand and forearm to the blade of the axe. Hastily you set down the broad marble staircase leading to the plaza below at a run, and miraculously your speed and dexterity carry you through the supporting ranks of the enemy before they realize who you really are. You hurry towards the parapet wall at the end of the Palithar's battle line, to where the enemy is only 3 ranks deep. The Geiks fighting here are oblivious to your deadly approach, and you are able to cut their rank before they can react to your presence. You shout your battle cry for Summerland and the Kai, and use the falling Geiks as a springboard to launch yourself onto the air. The bloody line of the court guards hear your battle cry above the din and of the fighting, and cheer goes up when they see who's coming leaping over the enemy's heads. You hit the flagstone just beyond the line of the court guards and roll over to lessen the impact of your landing. Through the smoke of the battle, you see the Gorgaz taking the scything sweep at the wall guards now protecting the wounded prince, and scattering them like leaves in the storm. The Gorgaz strides forward and raises its axe once more. Weakened by his arrow wound and powerless to fight back, the prince snatches up a discarded shield and raises it to protect himself. The Gorgaz utters a disdainful laugh when he sees Palithar cowering behind the shield. It knows that it will not save the prince from crushing impact of the razor-sharp axe. With his bodyguard torn and scattered across the ground, only you can save the prince. Without a moment's hesitation, you draw your weapon and attack the mighty Gorgaz. The creature that you now face is one of a rare, cold-blooded reptilian creatures that dwell deep in the treacherous swamp. Their favorite food is human flesh. The Dark Lords have employed this murderous beast to lead their assault on the bridge. And for two reasons: not only it's fearless and formidable in close combat, but also exudes a scent which sends Gyx into a state of battle frenzy. Under the influence of this odorless musk, they will fight without fatigue or any regard for their own safety. Solnaris, the prince's broadsword, lies at your feet. You may pick it up and use this weapon if you wish. This exceptionally crafted broadswords from the Magician's Guild House of Ulnar will add +2 to your combat skill when used in combat, or +4 if you possess the Kai discipline with a broadsword. Or sword, given its surprising lightness. The Gorgaz is about to strike you. You must face him to the death. This creature is immune to Mind Blast. So, we 100% are going to drop the dagger. Well, it doesn't say add it to your inventory. So I'm going to pick up the sword. Well, no, because we're going to use the weapon. So we'll have to do it here. So we will just label this that's not how... The Prince's Sword, which gives +2 to our combat skill. So we're actually up to 13, because we would be up to 15, but yeah. All right, what section are we in again? 255. We only have 9 endurance points. We are facing off against the Gorgaz, who has, by the way, 30 endurance points. He also has a combat skill of 20, which gives us a -7. My friends, this could be the end. So we are down here. So we pretty much can't roll. I mean, we have at least one roll. Okay, here we go. Okay, the first one is a 9. So we lose 2 and they lose 7. And the next one, oh boy. We lose 7, they lose 0. My friends, we are dead. Our journey ends here. If you win, we can turn to 82, but we have not won. We are going to try this again in a little bit. In a few days, we'll come back. We'll play this again. And we'll keep everything here. We are going to so when we come back next time, we're gonna re-roll, or actually we're gonna re-roll for our gold. We're gonna re-roll our combat skill and our endurance points, and we'll start again. So until next time, everyone. First one was a fail. We can do better next time. All right, see you guys.